Hello and welcome back. I am so glad you guys are joining me here in the kitchen once again. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Vicki-Lynne. I follow a plant-based vegan lifestyle and I'm on a journey to lose some weight, lower my cholesterol, and move my body every day. So if that interests you, please stick with me. I also cook with no oil, and I find that that's the healthiest thing for me. Everybody is different, but you will notice with my recipes that you are not missing anything when you're not using oil. We have other ways to substitute flavor instead. So if that interests you, don't forget to hit that little subscribe button and scooch on over and hit that bell icon so that you're notified every time one of my videos goes up. I will also tag any of these recipes. I do have a website. Feel free to go over there. That'll be down below also. And we have a Facebook group. So if you're trying to get healthy on a plant-based diet with no oil, come on over there. We do some challenges. We just put out some information. Please let me know where you're from and what journey you're on. So today we're doing a couple of different things. I know, I love talking with my hands, and I'm Irish, so I don't understand. But anyway, so what we're going to do today is I have a couple of things. I'm going to make a big vegetable soup. And again, if you've been here before, you know what I do. I go through what I have in the house most of the time and decide what I'm going to do. That being said, I have a huge cabbage and I'm in the mood for like a vegetable soup. So I kind of rummaged around the house and found an onion, some carrots, some potatoes, what else? Some frozen peas, a couple of things. I had broth. One more minute. I make my own vegetable broth, and I'll link that recipe up here. It's on my website. I have a video for it. I basically use my kitchen scraps to make my own veggie broth, and then I just freeze it until I want to make soup. The other thing I wanted to do with the cabbage is I am going to try to make my own sauerkraut, and I hope you stick around for that. I think that should be fun. I'm also going to make like a brownie oat bake this week. That's going to be my breakfasts. Instead of having the overnight oats, I think I'm going to do more of the baked oats, and we'll just see how the rest of it goes. But let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make my soup in my Instant Pot. I'm also going to use a can of organic tomato sauce to make it like a tomatoey one. And again, you could add whatever you want. I'm doing potatoes. I might throw in a few noodles at the end, and I am going to throw in a few things after this is cooked that they just need to kind of, so with anything, when you take off the end, or I already peeled it just to save time on camera, that goes into my soup stock bag in my freezer. Yep, you heard that right. And then when my bag gets full enough, I just throw it in my Instant Pot with some water, some bay leaves, peppercorns, whatever you like. I like to keep it plain just so I can zhuzh it up the way I want it done. So just going to make, now when I have soup, I kind of like to have nice little chunks. I don't like everything being super small. And if you are following the Starch Solution, then a soup like this with very low calorie dense vegetables is a great way to preload. So if you don't know anything about preloading, it's usually having a salad or a soup which are all low calorie density, and then that kind of fills you up before you have your regular meal. I love onions, so I am going to probably put this whole onion in, and then while I'm doing the onion, I'm going to hit the saute feature on my Instant Pot. Pantry staples are great for soups. Again, we're doing onions. I have celery that I've already cleaned. I also have pre-cooked a 16 medley bean medley. So this is the other thing that I do, is I actually pre-cook these. They're not fully cooked, but I did some of them again. And what I like to do is I like to pre-cook my beans. And so when I'm doing a pot of Instant Pot beans, I cook as many as I want, a whole package, whatever, and then I divide them up and I put them in the freezer. So I lay them flat until they're frozen, and then they can just stand up. And I also have some lentils. I'm also thinking about this week making a shepherd's pie with that. But I do have the beans to also go into the soup. So we're looking at a lot of protein. Yes, the beans have a little bit more calories. It's all good. I promise you, you are not going to gain weight by eating beans. If anything, you're going to lose weight because they fill you up for a long time. And now we're just going to do some celery. We went to our Mexican market and like the little sweet potato, the little sweet peppers were like 99 cents for a bag. We couldn't pass that up. So I figure a nice soup for my lunches, my oatmeal for my breakfast, and then usually supper. It just depends on what's going on that week and how much I want to kind of prep. Because sometimes we just like to, you know, do what we want. Our pan is heating up, so I'm adding a little bit of water. So I added that, and then we're going to add in our onions, our carrots, and our celery. We're just going to saute them for a few minutes. They are going to cook anyway. I just want to get a little brown on them. And the great thing about soups is that you can adjust the flavoring to whatever you're in the mood for, which is my favorite thing. We're going to let those saute. So I have my potatoes. I'm leaving the skins on because more fiber. And again, fiber fills you up. Don't forget about that. Don't be scared of fiber. Now, if you're coming from like a regular American standard kind of diet, then, you know, increase your fiber little by little, just so that your system gets used to it. I mean, I have no issues with beans or anything high fiber. I probably eat 50 or more grams of fiber a day. Now, you could add in orzo, pasta, absolutely whatever you want. This is what I love. This is a good like kitchen clean out, leftover cooked vegetables. Again, almost anything makes a great soup. Just don't put the oil in. The only thing you need to remember, you don't need oil. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to put in the potatoes. Oh, I'm going to do some cabbage. We're going to put in our veggie stock that we made. Put in my tomato sauce. I'm going to throw in the beans. I'm going to give that a stir. Throw in our cabbage. And I think I'm going to do more of an Italian style soup, so let me get those spices. Now, if I had fresh garlic, I would have put that in, but I don't, so I am going to put in my granulated garlic. I'm going to do a little bit of Italian seasoning. And we are going to adjust the flavors once this has cooked. Oregano, a little basil, and I'm going to throw in a little bit of thyme. The other thing I'm going to throw in is a little bit of turmeric. I like turmeric for my joint. And to go with the turmeric, I'm going to add a little bit of black pepper so that it's easier to absorb. Give that a quick stir. We are going to take our cover, seal it up, make sure it's sealed and not vented, and then I think I'm going to cook that for 10 minutes. So the next recipe we're going to start with is the brownie oatmeal bake. And to do that, we do need to make a flax egg. And if you haven't made a flax egg before, this is flaxseed that I grind. I like grinding my own kind of every week from the seed. It just keeps it fresher. And then we're going to mix that with 3 tablespoons of water. And ta-da, you have a flax egg. Now we're going to put this aside and let it congeal for about 5-10 minutes. So right now I am preheating my oven to 350. I'm going to use my casserole dish. You could use like a 9x13 or a 9x9. However you want to do it, totally up to you. I'm not going to grease mine. I find it comes out well enough. All right, so I'm going to take my banana. One should do it. Depends on how big your bananas are. This is pretty big. Just going to add some sweetness. Going to help things bind even better. So who doesn't like having chocolate for breakfast? Nobody, right? And this is going to be a nice healthy one. We also have this, we use this also, not just for breakfast, but we use it for snacks. We use it for, for snacks, dessert. Depends on what you do with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in, I'm going to have the recipe down below, guys, so no worries. I make this, or I make my baked oats so much that it's pretty well ingrained in my head. I will measure the cocoa powder. Try not to make a mess like I do. Gonna add in our cinnamon. And again, if you've been here before, you already know I love cinnamon. Using this vanilla, and then I'm gonna move over and start using the powdered. Add in our maple syrup. We're gonna add our non-dairy milk. This one had a little bit of vanilla flavoring to it, but you could use whatever you want. A lot of times I just use soy milk. We're gonna add in our congealed, well, I'm just gonna give it, you can see that it's kind of jellied up, so that's what we want. It's also gonna add some great omega-3s for us. Gonna give this a stir with a whisk. I want to make sure everything's kind of incorporated well. To this, we're going to add in 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And then we're going to add in our oats. So I like to vary it. I like to use half with the quick oats and half with the regular oats. So we're going to do 1.5 cups of each. And I find using the quick oats, I mean, you could use all rolled oats, totally up to you. But I find when you use half of the instant oats and half of the rolled oats, it's just a little softer. It's more like a dessert. We are just going to incorporate that into the liquid, and I like to let it sit for about 5 minutes just to give the oats a chance to absorb. So we're just going to set that aside. Sat for about 5 minutes. It's absorbed most of the liquid. That's what we kind of want it. Now we're just going to put it in our pan. Doesn't that look chocolatey and delicious? Oh my goodness, it's going to be so good with some sliced banana and some peanut butter drizzled over it. Now we're going to put that in the oven and we're going to cook it for about 25 to 30 minutes until you can tell that it's set. Now the last thing, or one of the last things we're going to do is we're going to start our sauerkraut. So this is very easy. You want to get a glass jar, and I like the ones with the little stiggly thing on top. You're going to take your cabbage and you're going to very thinly slice it. And if you have, now you could use Napa, you could use like the flat cabbage, but I have never been able to find any. So when I get down to the core, I'm actually going to just remove that. And again, you just want to slice it nice and thin. We like fermented stuff in this house. And I'm always pickling vegetables, and I do my escabeches and, you know, all that fun stuff. And, you know, I was like, why are we buying? It can't be that hard to make sauerkraut. And so when I finally started researching it, I was like, oh my God, it's so easy. So the other thing I did was I actually saved a couple of the leaves from the outer leaves just so that, because you're going to want to top it. And then you want to use just salt, a non-iodized salt. So you could use sea salt or pink Himalayan salt, which is what I'm going to do. And then you're just going to massage this for about 5 minutes. Almost like massaging kale, but it's your cabbage. And you need to do it for a good 5 minutes. So now we have our bowl. I just decided to change because once you start massaging it, it kind of wilts down. And so I think this jar would be better. The other important thing is not to use metal. Yeah, I think this was a way better idea because we want to be able. So now what you're going to do is you're just going to take a wooden spoon and you're just going to start pushing it down. And this takes a few minutes, just be patient. Okay, so if you can see I'm getting some liquid, but not enough to cover it. And we do need to have enough to cover it. So what we're going to do is you're going to take a little bit of water. So 1 cup of water, we're going to do about a teaspoon of salt. Give that a stir. And we just want to make sure that we have enough to cover. And then I'm going to take my big cabbage leaves and top it off first. Oh, sorry, no. I'm going to add in the salt water, and then what you're going to do is you're going to put your big piece. So you want the liquid level to be higher than the cabbage, and that cabbage is going to release more liquid, so no worries. Now, my only thing is that you need something to weight it down, and right now I'm having an issue finding something small enough to go in there. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do is put this in here. Perfect, so that actually fits. If your cabbage comes up higher, you want to make sure that you leave at least an inch on the top. Put your lid on, nice and tight. And what I like to do is take a bowl. Now, if you were doing like red cabbage, that doesn't release as much juice as the green cabbages. And then you're just going to leave this on the countertop away from direct sunlight. And then you're going to burp it like twice a day. So in the morning, almost like doing sprouts. So you're going to like just open it and let it burp, because that's when the fermentation is going to start. And that goes on twice a day for 5 to 7 days. So after 5 days, you can taste it. And you can decide if you need it, you want it more fermented. I would probably ferment it for 7 days, but I'm going to take you along on this fermentation journey and we'll figure it all out. Sorry about that. I'm not sure if I was recording. So I just opened it, unsealed it, gave it a stir. Look how gorgeous that is. Everything is cooked beautifully. I added in just some frozen peas. Always taste your food, so I am going to taste my food. So we have our delicious soup. Again, our delicious brownie baked oatmeal. And we're working on our sauerkraut. And again, I'll film during the week regarding the sauerkraut, just to show you what's going on. I am going to use the rest of the cabbage and fry that up tonight for supper, nice and easy. And I'm probably going to do, I did have these Brussels sprouts that I think I will probably roast in the oven with a little balsamic. Guys, thank you so much for joining me again. Don't forget, preload with this delicious soup this week. Have your oats for breakfast. I highly recommend a little drizzle of nut butter, some banana, maybe some strawberries. So good. Let me know how you like to top your baked oatmeal or even your overnight oats. Oh, and I also like to have pumpkin seeds. Love my pumpkin seeds. And then I'm going to keep you posted on the whole sauerkraut thing. And hopefully we'll have a winner there. Thank you again, guys, for watching. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button and check out my website for all of these recipes.